My beloved child, for a long time, you have looked at yourself through the lens of exhaustion. You have observed changes in your body, fluctuations in your emotions, sudden gaps in your energy, and then drawn a very human conclusion that you are breaking down. You assumed you were growing weaker, that something inside you was collapsing, that you were no longer the version of yourself who once stood firm, but you could not see the wider picture. The truth is not that you are falling apart, you are in motion. You are not being pulled backward, you are being moved into a different state. What you have called a decline is, in fact, the process of shedding old layers that once helped you survive but no longer fit the path ahead. When a seed splits open in the soil, it does not die, it begins a new form. So it is with you. There are days when you feel as though you are surrounded by negative influences, as if the air itself is heavier. Your mind tires more easily, and joy becomes harder to grasp. You wonder whether you have gone astray, whether you have allowed something harmful to penetrate too deeply. But, my beloved, not every heavy feeling is a sign of deterioration. Some seasons are heavy because they are seasons of preparation. When a new foundation is laid, the ground must be disturbed. When a stronger structure is raised, the old must be dismantled. I am not allowing you to be encircled by darkness. I am training you to recognize light more deeply. I am sharpening you, making you more real, more grounded, not through comfort, but through truth. There were moments when you believed you were shattering, that pieces of you were falling away, that you were no longer whole as before. But I want you to understand this clearly. I am not destroying you. I am refining you. What is falling away is not your core. It is what clung to you through circumstances, through fear, through unnamed wounds. There were beliefs you held simply to protect yourself. There were habits formed during years of bracing yourself. There were survival mechanisms that carried you through storms, but now only leave you weary. I am gently but decisively removing these things, not to empty you, but to lighten you, not to weaken you, but to make room for true strength to take its place. Everything you have experienced in your body is not punishment. I do not use pain to condemn you. The signals of your body are a language that is honest and incapable of pretense. They are revelation. They point to places where the enemy has tried to gain access through prolonged fatigue, through simmering fear, through endless self-blame. They also reveal where you have carried more than your share, where you forgot to set boundaries, where you allowed pressure to accumulate without release. And above all, they show the places where you need me, not as a distant idea, but as a living, near, sustaining presence. Some fatigue comes not because you have done too much, but because you have remained on alert for too long. Some pain arises not because your body is weak, but because your soul has been silent for too many years. When I allow these things to surface, it is not to frighten you, but to invite you to stop, to listen, and to let me enter more deeply. Deliverance rarely arrives in noise. It often begins with a whisper reminding you that you do not need to continue in the old way. I am teaching you to discern between endurance and trust, between striving and surrender. And this lesson cannot be learned in theory. It must be felt within your own body. My beloved child, I am not surprised by what is unfolding within you. I have seen the entire journey, both the stretches you walked by faith and the stretches you walked by sheer willpower. I know where you carried burdens alone because you believed there was no other option. And I also know when it is time to tell you now it is enough. Enough pretending you are fine when you are tired. Enough blaming yourself for very human limitations. Enough believing you must fix everything before coming to me. You do not need to be better to be worthy of healing. You only need to be real. Scripture reminds you of this truth with great gentleness and great certainty, for when I am weak, then I am strong. 2 Corinthians 1:2-10. This verse does not glorify weakness. It unveils a deeper reality that true strength does not come from never wavering, but from knowing whom you need when you do. When you stop relying on control, you create space to receive grace. When you release your grip on keeping everything intact, I am given room to restore and renew. What is happening is not a period, but a comma. It is not the end of who you are, but the beginning of a different rhythm of living slower, deeper, truer. You will learn to recognize limits as a gift, not a failure. You will learn to let your body lead you back to your own truth, instead of forcing it to meet standards that no longer fit. And little by little, you will see this. Places that once felt like weakness will become doorways to rescue. Places that once ached will become sources of compassion. Places that were once attacked will become testimonies of protection. There are burdens you have carried for so long that you came to believe they were simply part of you. You grew used to questioning yourself, blaming yourself, replaying the past in silent nights, as if thinking hard enough might somehow undo what had already happened. There are mistakes that, though long past, you still hold tightly in your memory, not because you want to suffer, but because you fear that letting go would mean forgetting the lesson. Or worse, forgetting yourself. There are regrets you never gave words to, quietly swallowing them until they settled into a vague, nameless fatigue. There are wounds you pushed behind you, covering them with busyness, with responsibility, with strained smiles, hoping that if you didn't touch them, they would disappear on their own. But my child, those things were never meant to live in your body. They are not your home. They are not your identity, and I have never closed my eyes to them. I am doing a work that is very quiet, but very deep, not loud, not hurried, not showy. I am not merely removing what hurts on the surface, not merely soothing symptoms others can see. I'm going into the deepest places where fear once took root, where self-blame once clung tightly, where you learned to shrink yourself just to survive. I am loosening each layer, each knot, each compressed memory you carried because you knew no other way. This is not shallow healing, and it is certainly not forgetting. This is purification from the inside out, restoring the right order to your soul, your mind, and your body, so that what does not belong to you no longer has permission to remain. And you will not have to guess whether this is real, because you will begin to notice signs that are ordinary yet unmistakable. Your sleep will no longer be as restless as before. Sleepless nights, waking with a heavy chest and a spinning mind, will gradually become fewer. You will sleep more deeply not because you are exhausted, but because your body finally feels safe enough to rest. Your mind will feel clearer, not because every problem has vanished, but because you are no longer being dragged by endless, tangled thoughts with no way out. Your emotions will soften. You will notice that you no longer react as intensely as before, no longer swept away by emotional waves that rise and fall beyond your control. Steadiness will slowly replace tension, like solid ground being laid again after a long season of shaking. You will feel your energy returning not in sudden bursts, but as a steady flow. The things that once drained you, that once emptied you without your understanding why, will no longer hold you as tightly. You will realize that your heart no longer panics in places where fear once tried to suffocate your breath. The constant pressure in your chest, that heaviness you grew so used to that you forgot what lightness felt like, will begin to ease. The racing thoughts that once drove you relentlessly with anxiety will slow, then settle. And in that quiet space, you will begin to hear your own breathing again. Your body, too, will speak in its own way, no longer needing to brace itself excessively, no longer enduring in silence. You will sense a relief that needs no explanation, a relaxation that comes naturally, as though every part of you is remembering how it was created to function not in fear, but in trust. You will realize that you no longer need to fight constantly just to survive. You no longer need to stay perpetually alert, perpetually guarded, perpetually prepared for the worst, because within you, a new foundation is being rebuilt. My beloved child, this healing does not turn you into a stranger to yourself. On the contrary, it brings you back to who you truly are, the version of you that had to be set aside during years of mere survival. You will not lose your sensitivity, nor will you become cold or numb. You simply will no longer be ruled by old wounds. You will still remember what happened, but those memories will no longer dictate your reactions. You will still know that you were once hurt, but that pain will no longer define who you are. And in this returning, you will recognize something very simple yet very profound. Your body, your mind, and your soul are finally moving in the same rhythm. Allow this process to unfold. Do not rush it. Do not doubt it. Do not turn back to pick up old burdens simply because they are familiar. I am not in a hurry, and I do not abandon what I begin. What I am doing in you is durable, rooted, deep enough not to be swept away by the next wind. And when you look back, you will not merely say that you are better. You will know through lived experience that you have been set back in the right place, returned to the right rhythm, and restored to the rest you have longed for a very long time. Now, I am placing my hand beneath you and gently lifting you out of the former season, not with a sudden jolt that leaves you disoriented, but with a steady movement, slow enough for you to realize that you are being carried. The months in which you merely endured, striving only to keep everything from collapsing, have fulfilled their purpose. They were not wasted, nor were they meaningless, but they are no longer where you are meant to remain. I am opening before you a new space, a season in which you do not merely survive, but begin to truly live, not by bracing yourself harder, but by being sustained from a source that does not run dry. You will regain your strength, but not in the way you once knew. This is not the kind of energy that rises from pressure, from the fear of being left behind, or from the need to appear okay in the eyes of others. This strength is born from abiding from the moment your soul knows it is standing in the right place. You will sense a quiet yet steady vitality, resilient and sure. Enough for you to walk without haste, enough for you to pause without guilt, enough for you to choose what is right without trembling. I am not merely helping you make it through each day. I am restoring within you the capacity to flourish, the ability to bloom even after seasons of drought. In the days ahead, you will notice a change that is subtle yet unmistakably real. Mornings will no longer feel like a battle. You will wake earlier not out of obligation, but because something new has been awakened within you. This energy will not be loud or showy. It will be like the first light of day slipping through a window, gentle, steady, and full of promise. You will begin each day not with the sense that you must endure another cycle, but with the awareness that today carries meaning. Even in its smallest moments, you will know where you are headed, even if the full picture has not yet come into view. I will place within you a peace that does not depend on circumstances, not because everything around you suddenly becomes perfect, but because you no longer allow external winds to determine your inner foundation. You will walk with a confidence nurtured by truth, the truth that you are guided, protected, and loved without condition. This confidence is not loud, nor does it need to prove itself. It is present in your posture, in your breathing, in the way you make decisions. You will say yes when your heart is aligned, and no when it is necessary, without lengthy explanations. You will feel your feet firmly planted on the ground, no longer unsteady as before, There were moments that once nearly brought you to your knees, difficult crossroads, tense confrontations, heavy responsibilities. In this new season, you will stand steady in those very places, not because you have become hardened, but because you have learned to lean on a strength that is not your own. You will find yourself calmer as pressure rises, clearer when choices must be made, and more patient when results have yet to appear. I am shaping within you an inner strength that is not easily shaken, one refined by trust, not by fear. My beloved, the prosperity I speak of is not merely outward abundance. It is a life with purpose where every step, however small, is placed in its proper order. You will experience joy without needing a grand reason, gratitude taking root in simple things, and a capacity to love without being drained. You will realize that you no longer have to trade peace for achievement. You will understand that true accomplishment is living in alignment with the identity entrusted to you, an identity not defined by the harsh seasons you have passed through. I will teach you how to steward your strength, when to move forward, when to pause, and when to rest. You will no longer live by the frantic pace of fear, of falling behind, but by the steady rhythm of wisdom. Relationships will be reordered in healthy alignment. Work will find its rightful place. Dreams will become clearer, no longer vague or distant. And when you feel unsure, I will remind you that you are not alone on this journey. I am near, not merely pointing the way from afar, but walking beside you. Scripture speaks softly yet profoundly. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint. Isaiah 40:31. This promise does not say you will never grow tired. It says your strength will be renewed at the right time, not through pressure, but through trust, not through striving, but through connection. When you place your hope in me, strength does not merely return, it is reformed to endure. My beloved child, this new season does not require you to become someone else. It invites you to return to yourself, the version that has been healed, realigned, and entrusted with purpose. You will walk more lightly because you no longer carry burdens that were never yours. You will look ahead with clarity because you are no longer dodging old fears. You will love more deeply because your heart has finally found a place to rest. And in days that seem ordinary, you will recognize something extraordinary unfolding. You are living, not merely existing. You are blooming, not merely enduring. Receive this new phase with an open heart. Do not doubt because old scars remain. They are witnesses to the journey, not verdicts on your future. I have led you far enough to know that you are ready, and I am here not only to begin with you, but to complete what I have set in motion. You will walk with vitality, peace, and purpose. You will stand firm when needed, and you will soar when the time comes, not because you achieved it on your own, but because you learned how to trust. My beloved child, you will step into the purpose I have prepared for you, no longer confined by limits you once believed were impossible to cross. Your body is not a prison for your calling. It is an instrument being recalibrated to serve something greater. I do not ask you to deny what you feel, nor do I require you to pretend to be strong. I am teaching you a new way of seeing that this body does not determine destiny, and passing sensations do not have the authority to rewrite the story. The work I am doing within you is neither superficial nor temporary, neither patchwork nor fragile. I am touching the deepest layers of identity, restoring order from the roots, so that what I begin can stand through time, through upheaval, and through the voices that try to pull you backward. Listen to me carefully, for this is the hinge point of this season. Do not let the enemy convince you that a few small signs mean everything has reversed. Do not allow whispers to plant a cruel interpretation that one moment of fatigue erases it all, that a brief discomfort sends you back to the starting line. That is not the truth. My promises are not so fragile that a heavy day can shatter them. The transformation I am bringing about is not so thin that a headwind can dissolve it. A fleeting sense of weakness is not a sentence, it is simply a signal to rest, to adjust your rhythm, to lean more deeply into me, not a conclusion that you have failed. Healing carries two rhythms that move together, sudden moments when light breaks through and you realize something has shifted instantly, and slower stretches where change settles day by day, layer by layer, like underground springs, nourishing roots. Both belong to me. Both are signs of the same work. Do not confront the slow rhythm with impatience, and do not deny the swift one out of fear. Let each rhythm complete its task. I am not in a hurry, and I do not abandon what I start. What I build is enduring enough for you to step into purpose without trembling. Enduring enough for you to move forward without turning back every time your body sends a small signal. You will learn how to live in your body without fearing it. You will stop panicking over a passing ache or an unfamiliar sensation. You will no longer construct worst-case scenarios and then terrify yourself with futures that have not happened. The arrows of fear, the enemy once aimed at your health, lies disguised as caution, have been broken. I am dismantling fear from your patterns of thought, one knot at a time, so that you no longer react in panic, but respond with discernment. When you discern, you do not deny sensation, you place it in its proper place. And when it is placed rightly, it no longer rules you. I am giving you a new confidence, not arrogant, not performative, but quietly steadfast. I am giving you a new assurance, not grounded in always feeling okay, but rooted in the truth that you are being held. I am establishing a new stability in your mind where thoughts no longer scatter at the first unfamiliar signal, but know how to pause, observe, pray, and choose a wise response. The peace I give is not a fragile feeling. It is a reality that dwells in your chest like a shield, not preventing sensation, but preventing fear from piercing through. The stillness I lay upon your mind is like a blanket, not lulling you to sleep in the face of life, but keeping you warm so you do not shrink in the cold of anxiety. The calm I build around your thoughts is like a wall, not to isolate you, but to protect what precious thing is being formed within. My beloved child, I am restoring you to wholeness, wholeness in how you see your body, wholeness in how you read its signals, wholeness in how you walk through imperfect days. There will come a time when you look back and are surprised by how deeply you once feared your own body, not because you will have forgotten what you went through, but because that fear will no longer have language to speak to you. It will have lost its authority. It will have been unbound. You will live in this body as in a house that has been restored, windows open to the light, a firm foundation, a steady rhythm of breath, and within that house, my purpose will be carried out, no longer hindered by old lies. Remember the gentle yet authoritative reminder of Scripture, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. That spirit of self-control is being awakened in you, not so that you would control everything, but so that fear would no longer control you. As self-control is restored, you will find yourself calmer in the face of change, steadier in slow days, and freer in strong ones. My beloved child, the purpose I have for you does not hang on the condition of when you no longer feel anything unusual. That purpose stands firmly on my grace and my faithfulness. I do not do shallow work in you. I do deep work, deep enough to endure, wide enough to support, complete enough to bring things to fulfillment. Keep walking forward with steady trust. When a moment of weariness comes, rest without self-condemnation. When an uncomfortable sensation arises, listen without panic. When a day moves slowly, remain without doubt. None of these things stand against what I am doing. They are being used by me to complete it. And as you step into the days ahead, days of living, working, loving, and serving, you will recognize a peaceful truth. You no longer fear your body, because you know who is holding it. You no longer fear the process, because you know who is leading the way. You no longer fear small signals, because you know the promise is greater. I am here not only to begin, but to finish. And what I finish will stand. My beloved child, the body I have given you is not an accident, nor is it a fragile shell made merely to endure without meaning. It is a creation woven with deep wisdom, soft enough to feel the world, sensitive enough to respond to love, refined enough to sense when I am near, and resilient enough to rise after shocks that, without me, you would not have survived. You have walked through more than you once believed you could live through. And this body has walked with you through it all, not perfect, not unchanging, but faithful. It carried you through days of exhaustion, sleepless nights, seasons of anxiety, and it is still here, still breathing, still moving, still hoping. This is not by chance. It is grace at work in the most ordinary places. But you need to understand a profound truth that many forget. The body has its seasons. There are times of strength and times that call for rest, moments of vitality and moments that require greater care. None of these seasons is a sign of abandonment. None of them is a verdict or a punishment. They do not speak to whether I am near or far. They simply speak to the fact that you are alive, fully, truly, humanly alive. I designed this journey not so that you would measure my presence by physical sensation, but so that you would learn to rely on me beyond sensation. When you are well, I am there. When you are weary, I am still there. When you feel strong, I am no closer. And when you feel weak, I have not left. You were never created to use strength as the measure of my faithfulness, nor were you born to assess your worth by your physical condition. I do not look at you through energy charts, numbers, or daily performance. I look at you with the eyes of the one who breathed life into you from the beginning, eyes that do not fluctuate with changing conditions. Your body may change with time, circumstances, and seasons, but my presence does not. It does not shrink when you are weak, nor fade when you are tired. My hand does not withdraw when you tremble, and my spirit does not diminish when your energy temporarily declines. There are days when your body feels as though it is working against you, when every movement feels heavy, every thought slows, and every effort costs more than usual. On those days, the enemy whispers that something is wrong, that you are falling behind, that you are no longer protected as before. But that is a lie dressed up as reason. The truth is that your body is speaking a language that needs to be listened to, not with fear, but with gentleness. I do not need you to push past every limit. I need you to live within the right order. That order includes rest, adjustment, and trust, things that false strength often ignores. My beloved child, there are lessons that can only be learned when you no longer have the strength to rely on yourself. When your energy is high, it is easy to think you are fine because you are performing well. When your energy is low, you are given the chance to remember that you are fine because I am holding you. I do not take away your strength to make you weak. I allow fluctuations so that you do not confuse the source of your stability. True steadiness does not come from always being strong, but from always being supported. And that support does not depend on how you feel each morning. Your body is sensitive enough to recognize my presence not only in moments of joy, but also in quiet, unremarkable moments. Sometimes you do not hear a clear word, yet you sense a gentle calm. Sometimes you have no answers, yet your breathing slows. Sometimes circumstances do not change, Yet a place of safety opens within you. That is when body and soul together recognize that I am near. I do not meet you only in supernatural moments. I meet you in every cell that is learning how to relax after a long season of tension. And you also need to know this: your body is resilient enough to rise after things that should have crushed you, not because it is invincible, but because I placed within it the capacity to recover. That capacity does not always unfold quickly, but it is real. Each time you stand again after a hard season, it is not luck, it is life being nourished by grace. Do not dismiss small steps: a night of deeper sleep, a morning with lighter breath, a moment when panic no longer overwhelms you as before. These are signs of life being restored slowly, steadily, truthfully. My beloved child, I do not require you to always understand what your body is going through. I only invite you to trust that nothing in it surprises me or pushes me away. When you are weak, I am not disappointed. When you are tired, I do not turn aside. When you need to stop, I do not rush you. I walk with you through every stage, missing not a single day. And in each stage, I am teaching you an unchanging truth. You are loved not because you are strong, not because you endure, not because of how much you can do, but because you are my child. Let your body be a body alive, feeling, resting, recovering without carrying the burden of having to prove anything. Let your soul lean on me, even when your feelings are unsettled. And remember, my beloved, your strength may rise and fall like the tide, but my ocean does not run dry. Your energy may fade for a moment, but my spirit remains full. Your body may change along the journey, but I, the one who is with you, never change. My beloved child, remain with me in prayer, not only when you need support, but in every season you pass through. Prayer is not a life buoy you grab when you are about to sink. It is the breath that keeps you alive. There are days when your body feels light like the early morning breeze, when every cell seems refreshed, when strength flows through you gently like clear water, and you wake with clarity, your mind sharp, your heart full of drive. Those days are not accidental. They are gifts I give. Moments of grace for you to taste abundant life. I delight in seeing you smile, in seeing your steps steady, in seeing your eyes clear. I am not jealous of your joy. I am the source of that joy. Yet, my child, even on those easy days, I listen to the rhythm of your heart. I watch where you place your focus when everything is going smoothly. Do you still pause to speak with me? Do you still seek my face when the skies are clear? Do you still draw near when there is no urgency pressing you? Or do you lean on your own strength, the strength I have given, and forget the one who gave you breath and vitality? This is not a rebuke, it is an invitation. For I know that when life becomes favorable, people can drift away without realizing it, not out of deliberate betrayal, but because they are carried along by the fast pace of success and comfort. I do not want you to remember me only in long nights or when your heart feels heavy. I long for you to stay with me in the light of morning, in hours filled with energy, in days when you feel fine, for it is precisely in those days that communion can deepen in the most enduring way. When you are strong, you have the capacity to build foundations, the foundation of holy habits, the foundation of listening, the foundation of placing me at the center, not out of need, but out of love. Strength is a season, and seasons always change. If you use your season of strength only to run faster and not to build deeper, when the winds shift, you will find yourself weary for lack of shelter. My beloved child, I am not against strength. I give strength. But I do not want strength to become a wall that distances you from me. I want it to become a bridge that draws you closer. When you are well, pray not to ask for more, but to give thanks. When you are clear-minded, pray not to find an escape, but to ask for wisdom to stay on the right path. When you are full of energy, pray to learn how to steward it, to know when to move forward, when to pause, when to rest, so that strength does not turn into exhaustion. Prayer, in seasons of ease, is how you guard your heart from complacency and from the illusion that you can stand on your own forever. I know there are days when you do not feel like praying because you think you need nothing. But prayer is not a wish list. It is an encounter. You do not come to me only to ask, but to be with me. Being with me when you are strong helps you remember your source. Being with me when you are joyful keeps your joy from becoming hollow. Being with me when you are fine gives that stability roots. And when hard days come, and they will come, you will not have to search for me. You will already be near. My beloved child, there is a very subtle danger in easy seasons. You begin to measure everything by performance. You pray less because you are busy. You listen less because you think you already understand. You rely more on schedules, strategies, confident routines, and less on my gentle leading. I do not blame you, for this is human, but I invite you to stay awake. Use days of abundant energy to build a rhythm of life that makes room for me without crowding, without haste. A rhythm that knows how to pause at midday, how to breathe deeply in the middle of work, how to listen amid the noise. I long for you to learn how to pray with me, with your whole body, when you walk, when you work, when you eat, when you rest. Not always with long words. Sometimes it is simply a tender awareness that I am here. When you are strong, that prayer is like an anchor line that keeps you from drifting too far. When you are weak, it becomes the arm that lifts you up. But if that line is neglected during calm winds, it will be hard to find again when the waves rise. My beloved child, I do not demand perfection in prayer. I seek faithfulness. Faithfulness is not doing more, it is staying. Staying with me when you are joyful. Staying with me when you are healthy. Staying with me when you are busy. Staying with me when you do not know what to say. Communion is built through such staying small, steady, true. And it is that communion that turns changing seasons from a threat into the natural rhythm of life. Remember this. My beloved, strength is only a season, but connection carries you through every season. When you use a strong season to deepen communion, a weak season will not drown you. When you use favorable days to place me at the center, difficult days will not lead you astray. I do not seek you only in the storm. I want to walk with you on sunlit roads so that when clouds gather, you know you are not walking alone. So pray with me in every phase. Give thanks on bright days. Listen on busy days. Stay on ordinary days. And as you do, you will discover something very gentle. I am not only the one you turn to when you are weak, I am the one you walk with when you are strong. And it is there in that togetherness that your life will grow roots, gain depth, and find lasting peace. My beloved child, your health is standing at a very real turning point. This is not a vague consolation, nor a fragile hope to cling to when you are weary, but a clear intersection in your journey where I am touching precisely the place you have endured in silence for a long time. I know this has never been easy for you to speak about. It is not loud like external crises, nor visible like exposed wounds. It is quiet, prolonged, slowly wearing you down. You learned to smile while your strength diminished, to fulfill responsibilities while your body spoke up, to reassure others that you are fine even as you had to brace yourself inside just to stand. I have seen it all. There is not a single breath you tried to hold back that I did not hear. There is not a single weariness you concealed that I did not know. My beloved child, this will be an important marker, not only because of what will change in your body, but because of how you will look at yourself. This area that once felt like a silent burden has taught you much: how to endure, how to adapt, how to keep moving when there was no margin left. But it also took much from you: lightness, simple joy, the ability to believe that tomorrow could be better than today. I did not let you pass through that in vain. I was not absent from that quiet battle. And now, I am stepping into the very place you once thought you would have to live with for life, to establish a new order. I know you have grown used to carrying the load, so used to it that you scarcely remember what it feels like for a body that does not have to constantly self-correct, a mind that does not have to scan every small signal. There are mornings when you wake and need a moment to assess the situation before beginning to see how much energy you have, what you must be cautious about, what you must sacrifice today in exchange for stability. You have lived responsibly, courageously. But my beloved child, that resilience was not meant to become a permanent state. It was given to help you pass through, not to trap you there forever. The change I am initiating is not loud or dramatic in the way you once imagined. It begins from within, from systems that have been bracing themselves for too long, from rhythms forced to run faster than what is natural. I am easing accumulated tensions, resetting the tempo of parts of you that learned to live in endurance mode. You will notice this change in very ordinary ways: a morning when you wake without the familiar heaviness, a day when you work without constantly wondering how much longer you can hold on, a moment when you laugh sincerely without effort. Do not dismiss these small signs. They are the testimony that I am working deeper than the surface. My beloved child, I am not only healing your body, I am touching the story you have been telling yourself about that body. A quiet narrative has taken shape over time that you must accept it, grow accustomed to it, manage it, and live with this burden as if it were an inseparable part of who you are. I am rewriting that story, not by denying reality, but by opening a different future, one where your body is no longer a battlefield, but a dwelling place of peace. You will learn to trust restoration without trying to control every step. You will learn to hope without being afraid of disappointment. And for you, that learning may be even harder than endurance itself, but I will be with you through every step of that learning. I also want you to know that this change will not make you someone else. You will not lose the sensitivity, the depth, or the compassion you have cultivated through difficult years. On the contrary, when the burden is lifted, those qualities will finally have room to bloom. No longer suffocated by exhaustion, you will find yourself more fully present in your relationships, listening more deeply, loving without hesitation, born of fear that you might run out of strength. Restored health does not merely give you back energy, it gives you back the capacity to live. My beloved child, I know you have been afraid to place hope in this area. Afraid because you have been disappointed before. Afraid because you once hoped, only to lower your expectations again and again. But I am not asking you to believe by emotion. I am inviting you to believe by surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It is laying the burden down in the right place, and that place is not on your shoulders. I am removing from you the habit of having to guard everything yourself. I am teaching you that you do not need to remain constantly alert in order to be safe. There is another kind of safety, deeper, steadier, that comes from knowing that I am caring for what you cannot control. The change ahead will cause you to look back on the past years with new eyes. You will no longer see only loss or weariness. You will see your own faithfulness. And above all, you will see that my hand never left that journey. The days you thought you were merely getting by were, in truth, laying the foundation for a restoration with depth. I do not rush. I do not patch things up. What I do in you endures, because it is built on truth, not illusion. My beloved child, prepare your heart not to brace yourself, but to receive. Receive the lightness you have long forbidden yourself to believe was possible. Receive days when you no longer have to calculate your strength hour by hour. Receive the experience of living in your own body without fear or caution. You do not enter this change alone. I go before you. I walk with you, and I remain behind you, encompassing the entire journey. And when you stand at this threshold and look back, you will understand that quiet battle did not end with a loud triumph, but with a restoration deep enough for you to begin living again, truly living. My beloved child, I have watched over you in battles no one else could see, in pains that had no name, in sensations only you understood when you were alone. Some battles leave no marks on the skin, make no loud noise, yet they erode strength little by little from within. I saw you pass through them in silence, without complaint, without calling for help, without drawing attention, simply tightening your resolve to remain standing. You learned how to endure when no one knew what you were enduring, and I never once took my eyes off you in those moments. I saw you trying to stay steady even when your own body became the most unpredictable thing in your life. There were mornings you woke up unsure whether you could trust your body that day. There were times you wanted to move forward, but your body pulled you back, leaving you confused, wondering what you had done wrong. I saw that confusion. I saw the sorrow that came when you felt betrayed by the very thing that was meant to support you. But my beloved child, your body is not your enemy. It has been speaking because it has carried strain for too long, because it has borne more than it was designed to hold. And I know how to listen to that voice, not to condemn you, but to rescue you. I witnessed the nights when you reassured yourself that everything is fine, even as your heart was weary from having to be strong, your mind exhausted from calculating every step, and your body crying out for rest. You became accustomed to hiding your fatigue from others, to fulfilling responsibilities before caring for yourself. You learned to smile so others would feel at ease, while inside you were longing for a safe place to finally let go. I know the cost of those smiles. I know how much energy that silence has taken from you, and I have never dismissed a single tear you swallowed and carried alone. My beloved child, I do not see only your pain, I also see your faithfulness. I see you rising each day, still choosing love, still doing what is right, even when no one applauds. I see your patience with yourself in difficult days, even when you do not always feel patient. I see that you do not give up, not because you are not tired, but because you refuse to lose the belief that there is still goodness waiting ahead in this life. That faithfulness is not dimmed by exhaustion, it shines right within it, and I honor that. Now, my child, I speak with clarity and authority. I am stepping into the very place where you feel weakest, not to expose your vulnerability before others, not to prove that you are not strong enough. I step in to reveal my power in a way you have not yet experienced, a power that does not crush or overpower, but upholds, power that does not shame you, but sets you free. I do not come to point out what you lack, I come to give you what you need. My power does not seek a stage, it seeks the places hidden by fear and exhaustion. It does not wait for you to be composed or strong, it comes when you are most weary, when your defenses are thinnest, when you can no longer pretend, for it is there that truth is spoken, and truth is fertile ground for healing. I am not ashamed of your weakness, I use it as a doorway for grace to enter. I am not afraid of your questions. What grieves me most is when you fall silent and carry everything alone. My beloved child, I do not define you by your strong days, nor do I confine you to your weak ones. I see you whole the entire journey, the context, even the things you have not yet found words to say. I know there are wounds formed because you had to grow up too soon, because you had to manage on your own when you should have been protected. I know there are survival mechanisms that carried you through the storm, but now leave you weary. I do not fault you for learning how to survive. I am teaching you how to live. My presence in your weakness does not make you smaller, it makes you more real. When you stop trying to appear okay, you create space for true restoration. When you allow yourself to rest without self-condemnation, you allow your soul to breathe. When you speak honestly to me about your pain, I can touch the root instead of merely soothing the surface. This is not hurried healing. This is restoration with depth deep enough to endure, real enough to break old cycles. I am teaching you a new way to stand firm, not by gritting your teeth and enduring, but by leaning into a source of strength that does not run dry. You will learn to discern the difference between courage and strain. You will learn to rest without fearing that you are falling behind. You will learn to listen to your body as a friend in need of care, not as a traitor to be controlled. And in this process, you will realize my power does not estrange you from yourself. It returns you to the right rhythm of life. My beloved child, some miracles do not arrive with thunder, but with holy patience. Some victories are not announced, yet are felt in the return of peace to your chest, in slower breaths, in a morning when you wake without fear of the day ahead. Do not despise small changes. Do not assume that power is present only when everything turns around in an instant. My power is at work even when you do not notice, resetting foundations, healing deeper layers, freeing you from fears that once governed you. I am not in a hurry with you, and I will not abandon what I have begun. What I start, I complete. I am near you not only to comfort, but to walk with you. I am in this story not as a spectator, but as the one rewriting the ending, and that ending is not you barely getting by, but you living upheld, in peace, and with purpose. My beloved child, allow me into that place of weakness. Let me do what only I can do. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to hide anything. You only need to remain with the truth. Remain with hope. Remain with me, and you will see in the very place you once thought was your breaking point, I will lay the foundation for a new strength, not loud, not showy, but deep enough for you to stand firm and gentle enough for you to rest. My beloved child, I speak to you with the certainty of the one who does not err. This season marks a turning point. Not a small bend where you merely adjust your direction by a few steps, but a deep shift, a foundational change, quietly unfolding beneath the surface. You have not yet sensed it with your body. You have not yet seen it with your natural eyes. But heaven has acted. A command has been released in the unseen realm, and the wheels of restoration have begun to turn. Some things are initiated without the consent of your emotions, without the confirmation of your circumstances. They move forward simply because the time has come. The angels entrusted with your health have stepped into their assignment, not in haste, not with noise, but with precision and steady faithfulness. They do not work by human measurements, but according to the rhythm of eternal wisdom. There are things that must be untangled before they can be rebuilt, layers that must be removed before renewal can take place. I am realigning what has gone out of order, rhythms that were pushed too fast, balances that were broken, systems that had to strain to compensate. I am repairing what the enemy has damaged, not only surface consequences, but the deep imprints left by prolonged fear, pressure, and weariness. I'm not patching things up, I am restoring order. I am reclaiming what time tried to take from you. Time can erode when a person only endures without being upheld. But time becomes an ally when I step in and redirect its flow. I am renewing what pressure sought to exhaust, parts that have been overworked, parts that have grown accustomed to living in constant alertness. I am rebuilding what illness attempted to destroy, not through force, but through regeneration from within. This rebuilding is not as loud as destruction, but it is far more enduring. Do you know that it was I who wove every cell of your body together? Not a single detail is accidental. Not a single system is unnecessary. From the quiet rhythm beating within your chest to the intricate currents carrying life throughout your being, everything was arranged by a hand that knows what is required for you to live, to grow, and to recover. Every system within you recognizes my voice. They are not confused by the noise of fear. They are not persuaded by the lies of despair. They were created to listen to me. When I speak to your bones, they remember their original structure, not the structure of fatigue, but of support. When I speak to your blood, it listens and carries life with a new order, no longer rushed, no longer chaotic, but steady and at peace. When I speak to your organs, they are rearranged, each part returning to its proper place, each function rediscovering its natural rhythm. I am not distant from your body. I understand it more than anyone, for I designed it with the capacity to heal itself when it is reconnected to its true source. My beloved child, this shift does not require you to feel right for it to be effective. Some works of heaven take place before you can even recognize them, so that when awareness comes, the foundation is already firmly laid. You may still experience slow days. You may still have moments of fatigue. Do not let these deceive you. Fatigue does not invalidate the command. Slowness does not cancel the process. There are changes happening at a deeper level where sensation has not yet reached, but it is there that true stability is built. I am changing how your body responds to pressure. I am teaching it to react not with tension, but with regulation. I am changing how your mind interprets signals, not magnifying danger, but discerning with peace. I am changing how you enter each new day, not scanning for fear first, but welcoming life first. These changes are not flashy miracles for display. They are the miracle of stability deep enough to allow you to live differently. My beloved child, remember this when I speak. Life obeys. I do not need to raise my voice to be heard. My power rests in truth. When I speak, what is disordered finds its order again. When I speak, what is worn is made new. When I speak, what has been violated is restored. And I am speaking in this season not once, but continuously, so that the process is not interrupted. I am not pressured by the time you have lost. I govern the time you now have. You may not yet see the full outcome, but you will begin to notice small, undeniable signs: lighter breathing, mornings that feel less heavy, work hours that are more sustainable, nights of deeper rest. You will sense calm returning to your chest like an old friend. You will notice that fear no longer directs every decision. You will realize that your body is no longer a battlefield, but is becoming a dwelling place of peace. Do not dismiss these small things. They are the echo of a command that has already been released. I also invite you to cooperate with what I am doing, not through anxiety, but through trust. Give your body time to catch up with the command. Give your mind space to settle. Give your soul the habit of remaining with me. When you rest, you are not delaying restoration. You are honoring its rhythm. When you pray, you are not persuading me. You are placing yourself within the flow of what has already been decided. My beloved child, the shift has already begun, even if you do not yet feel it, even if you do not yet see it. Heaven is at work. I am adjusting, repairing, restoring, renewing, rebuilding. I am speaking to every cell, every system, every rhythm of life within you, and they are listening. Remain in this truth. Walk forward with steady trust. What I have begun in this season is not temporary. It is a foundation for the seasons to come, seasons in which you live lighter, healthier, and more whole in the body I have given you. My beloved child, I do not do things halfway in your life. I do not touch you merely to ease the pain for a moment, only to let you fall back into the old cycle of exhaustion and strain. What I give you is not a temporary relief so that you can hold on a little longer. What I give you is a transformation, a change at the root, deep enough to last, complete enough to sustain you through the seasons ahead. I am touching your health, not because you are weak, but because you are being called into a new chapter, where what was sufficient for yesterday will no longer be enough for tomorrow. The next chapter of your life requires a strength you have never lived from before, not the strength of forcing yourself onward, nor the energy that rises from pressure or the fear of being left behind. It is a strength born of renewal, a vitality that comes from harmony between body, mind, and spirit. The calling ahead requires clarity for discernment, energy for endurance, stability to stand firm as the pace of life accelerates, and an inner strength that is not easily shaken as responsibility expands. I know what I am about to entrust to you, and I never place a new weight upon an old, worn foundation. That is why I am rebuilding that foundation now. The changes that are coming are not merely ideas or plans, they are realities taking shape. Your living environment will shift the rhythm, the space, even the relationships around you will be rearranged. Your responsibilities will expand, not to take away your freedom, but to give you deeper influence and purpose. And there are sacred assignments I am placing in your hands, works that cannot be carried by personal strength or momentary willpower. All of this requires a body that has been renewed, a steady mind, and a rhythm of life capable of carrying grace without collapsing into exhaustion. You have felt tired, yes, but I want you to hear this clearly, that weariness is not evidence of failure. It does not say that you have gone the wrong way. It does not condemn you as not enough. That weariness is the signal of a threshold. It appears when what is old can no longer sustain what is new that is arriving. You have tried to use the strength of a former season to step into the next, and your body has spoken. Not to stop you, but to tell you it is time to change the source. Supernatural renewal is not a miracle that helps you ignore limits. It is a miracle that restores order, so limits no longer rule. I am teaching your body to function in the rhythm of grace rather than the rhythm of tension. I am teaching your mind how to remain clear, even as pressure increases. I am teaching your soul how to rest in me so vitality no longer leaks away through anxiety and self-blame. This renewal does not come so that you can run faster at any cost. It comes so that you can go farther without wearing away. My beloved child, I am not changing your health simply so that you can be healthier. I am changing it so that you can live differently, so that you can enter each new day with a sense of readiness rather than apprehension, so that you can carry responsibility without paying for it with your peace, so that you can be fully present in the assignments I give you, listening more deeply, loving more broadly, serving with greater endurance. When your body is renewed, you will realize that you no longer have to negotiate with fear before every decision. You will choose from freedom, not from exhaustion. I know you have grown used to self-adjusting, lowering expectations, rearranging schedules, shrinking dreams simply to fit your current level of energy. I do not fault you for doing that in order to survive. But the season ahead is not calling you to shrink, it is calling you to step forward, and to step forward without breaking. You need a renewal that only I can give. That renewal does not demand that you prove yourself, it invites you to trust. It does not ask you to strain, it invites you to receive. There are things you have postponed, thinking, when I am healthier. I am bringing that when closer, not to pressure you, but to release you. You will see energy return in a different way, steadier, more sustainable, less explosive, yet not easily drained. You will see clarity increase not because every question disappears, but because your mind is no longer pulled in every direction. You will sense inner stability, a groundedness, even as your environment changes. These are signs of transformation, not of patchwork repair. My beloved child, do not be afraid of the changes that are coming. I do not bring the new to overwhelm you. I bring the new because you have been prepared, and I am completing that preparation by renewing you from within. You will not have to return to old survival strategies. You will not have to sacrifice your health to fulfill your calling. You will not have to trade peace for responsibility. What I give you is harmony, where calling and health are no longer in conflict, but support one another. You are tired because you are at a point of transition that is true, but you are not being left there. What is coming is not another cycle of striving. It is a season of multiplied grace. Supernatural renewal does not come to deny the journey you have walked. It comes to honor that journey with a future worthy of it. I am not rushing, and I am not delaying. I act at the right time. Open your heart to receive what I am doing. Allow this renewal to sink into the smallest daily rhythms: your sleep, your breathing, how you begin your mornings, how you close a long day. Let me teach you how to conserve strength, how to rest, how to move forward without consuming yourself. When you cooperate with grace, transformation becomes a way of life, not merely a phase. My beloved child, it is coming not as a distant promise, but as a reality taking shape. I do not give you temporary relief. I give you transformation. And in that transformation, you will step into the next chapter of your life with a renewed body, a steady mind, and a soul at rest, ready for the greater things I have long prepared. My beloved child, there have been moments, very real, very human, when you wondered whether you were slowly breaking down, not just because of a single exhausting day, but because of a succession of days that carried a quiet sense of wear and erosion. You asked yourself whether your body was giving up on you, whether the pressures that had accumulated were silently gaining the upper hand. You did not ask to complain. You asked because you needed to understand. You asked because you wanted to stand firm, because you did not want to deceive yourself. I know those questions were born in the late hours of the night, when all other noises had faded and only your own breathing remained. I know they came on mornings when it took you time to gather enough strength to begin. I know they were not loud, but they were persistent. But today, I speak to you with the clarity of truth. None of those fears come from me. I do not plant doubt in your heart. I do not whisper that you are about to collapse. I do not place in you the thought that your body will betray you. Those ideas do not carry the fragrance of heaven. They bear the mark of the enemy, the one who wants to frighten you within the very home I gave you to dwell in during this life. He wants you to look at your body with suspicion, as though it were a prison, a limitation, proof of failure. But I am opening your eyes to see the opposite. Your body was not created to confine you. It was created to bear witness to resilience that is upheld, to bear witness to restoration that cannot be explained by logic alone, to bear witness to power at work in the most ordinary things, the heart finding its steady rhythm again, sleep growing deeper, breath becoming lighter, strength returning in a lasting way. I do not deny what you have been through. I transform it into a story, and that story does not end with prolonged endurance, but with restoration marked by my hand. There will come a day when you look back and say, not with pride, but with reverent awe, only God could have done this. Not because you did not try, but because your effort reached its limit. Not because you did not care for yourself, but because care alone was not enough. There are boundaries that human willpower, discipline, and effort cannot cross, and it is precisely at those boundaries that my power steps in quietly, without display, yet unmistakably. My beloved child, your health does not change because of luck. Luck comes and goes. It has no depth, no memory. Your health does not change by chance either. Chance has no purpose, no sense of timing. And it certainly does not change through a sudden improvement, only to fall back into the old cycle. What is happening within you bears the mark of my spoken word. When I speak, I do not guess. When I speak, I do not experiment. When I speak, I establish new order where there was once disorder, and that order has the strength to endure. The enemy wants you to believe that every feeling of fatigue is proof of defeat. I show you that often fatigue is a sign of transition when the old no longer fits what is being formed anew. The enemy wants you to interpret every signal from your body through the lens of fear. I teach you to read them with discernment and peace, not so that you ignore your body, but so that you no longer fear it, not so that you deny sensation, but so that sensation no longer rules you. My beloved child, I am reversing the narrative. What you once thought was weakness will become testimony. What you once feared will become solid ground. What you once doubted will become a distant memory with no power. You will remember that there was a time when you wondered if you could endure, and that very memory will make your restoration all the more evident. Not to pull you back into pain, but to remind you how far you have been led. I am not in a hurry, and I am not unclear. What I am doing in you has a rhythm. There are days when you see clear progress. There are days when you see only stability, but both are the fruit of the same spoken word. I am building in you a health that does not depend on fleeting emotions, that is not governed by old fears. I am building in you a new confidence, not the confidence of never being tired, but of being upheld even when you are. My beloved child, let me make this plain so you can stop arguing within yourself. I do not need you to convince yourself to believe. I need you to remain. Remain on good days. Remain on slow days. Remain when your feelings have not yet caught up with the truth. For truth does not change with feelings. Truth stands because it has been spoken, and my word does not return empty. You will walk in your body with a new freedom, no longer scrutinizing every sign with anxiety, no longer constructing worst-case scenarios. You will learn to listen without panic, to adjust without condemnation, to rest without fear of falling behind. And in that process, you will realize your body is not a prison, it is a witness to restoration with order, a witness to power working through process, a witness to a God who does not abandon what he has begun. My beloved child, when others ask what happened, you will not need a long explanation. Your life will answer for itself. Your peace will speak. Your stability will testify. And you will know not by theory, but by experience that your health did not change by luck, not by coincidence, not by isolated effort. It changed because I have spoken it so, and what I have spoken, I will bring to completion. My beloved child, you will begin to notice the shifts, not loud, not sudden, but so real that you cannot deny them. At first, they arrive gently, like thin light slipping through the curtains in the early morning. You may not be able to name them right away. You will simply sense that something is different in a way that is hard to put into words. Strength will slowly return to places that once felt weak, not through an overwhelming surge that leaves you dizzy, but through a steady resilience that reassures you. You will find yourself doing things you once hesitated over, once had to calculate whether you had enough strength for, and this time, you will do them without having to persuade yourself. This strength does not come from pressure, it comes from an inner reordering. Where I am faithfully at work, clarity will begin to replace confusion in very ordinary ways. It is not that every question disappears, but that you are no longer lost inside them. Thoughts that once spiraled, pulling you from one assumption to another, will slow down. You will notice yourself looking at situations with a steadier gaze, knowing what needs to be done now and what can wait. This clarity is not cold or detached, it is warm, because it is anchored in peace. You will know where you are and where you are headed, even if the whole picture is not yet complete. And that sense of knowing enough to keep moving will be a great gift. Peace will begin to flow where anxiety once stirred things up. Not a fragile peace that depends on calm circumstances, but a peace with weight heavy enough to keep you standing when the news is disappointing, when schedules change, when others are still unsettled. You will notice that your heart no longer races ahead of every situation. Your chest will feel less tight, less constricted. There will be moments when you are surprised by your own response, no longer panicking, no longer rushing to defend yourself, no longer condemning yourself. This peace is not something you trained yourself into. It is a sign that inner order is being restored. Your breathing will deepen where pressure once tightened its grip. You will inhale without having to remind yourself to breathe, and exhale without carrying a burden with you. The moments when you forgot your breath because you were too busy holding everything together will slowly become fewer. Your body is relearning the language of safety when safety returns. Breathing returns to its natural rhythm, and when breathing settles, many other things settle with it. This is not a small detail. It is the foundation for lasting endurance. Energy will rise where heaviness once pressed down. Not an energy that drives you to run, but an energy that allows you to move at a steady pace. You will have full workdays without collapse. Evenings where you still have presence for those beside you. Mornings where waking no longer feels like bracing yourself. You will begin to believe that tomorrow can be good not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer empty inside. This energy will come like groundwater, not showy, but nourishing the roots. My beloved child, do not be quick to doubt these changes simply because they are subtle. The enemy often plants a familiar question: is this real? Or is it just imagination? But I tell you, what is happening is not the mind trying to comfort itself. These are the unfolding of the word I have spoken, a word that does not return empty. When I speak, life responds. When I speak, order finds its place again. When I speak, a process is set in motion without needing noise to prove itself. You will notice these shifts not only in quiet moments, but right in the middle of daily life. You will see yourself handling a difficult situation with a new calm. You will see yourself setting boundaries without guilt. You will see yourself resting without the fear of falling behind. You will see yourself daring to hope a hope that was once suppressed for fear of disappointment. Each of these small actions is a piece of a larger picture. Restoration is being completed according to the rhythm of grace. Let me remind you of this: process does not cancel miracle, and miracle does not exclude process. There will be days when progress feels obvious, and days when all you notice is stability. Both are necessary. Today's stability is the ground for tomorrow's breakthrough. Today's breakthrough needs stability so it does not collapse. Do not compare your pace with anyone else's. I work personally because your story is unique. My beloved child, pay attention to the small signs you once overlooked. They are not small to me. Deeper sleep, wiser decisions, conversations you enter with a calmer heart, mornings you wake without heaviness. These are echoes of the word that is being carried out. When you notice and give thanks, you widen the space for grace to keep working. Do not let familiarity dull you to what is good. When peace begins to feel normal, remember, there was a time you longed for it with tears. When energy returns and you find yourself okay, do not forget the source. Remain with me not because you need more, but because you love. That remaining will keep these changes lasting, not stolen away by old fears. You will learn to trust your body again, to trust that it is not betraying you, to trust that it is responding to my word in its own rhythm, to trust that you can live in this body without being afraid of it. As trust returns, many old loops will dissolve on their own. Excessive vigilance will give way to discernment. Discernment will give way to freedom. My beloved child, if there are days when you do not feel much, do not conclude that everything has stopped. Some work happens at deeper levels where feeling has not yet reached. Some adjustments are made quietly where results only appear with time. Be patient with the process I am faithfully guiding. Patience is not waiting in despair, it is waiting in trust. And when you look back, not just once, but many times, you will recognize the curve of restoration from fog to clarity, from heaviness to lightness, from anxiety to peace, from shallow breaths to deep ones, from depletion to sufficiency. You will say to yourself, "This is not imagination." You will know by experience that these changes are the unfolding of the word I have spoken over your life. My beloved child, I am reaching into the deepest places within you, places no human hand can touch, where knowledge cannot measure, where medicine can only stand at the door. There are wounds that do not live on the surface of the body, do not appear in test results, and cannot be named by medical terms. Yet they are real, and they are heavy. They reside in memories that were pressed down, in emotions that were never comforted, in words left unspoken because you feared disappointing others. I am entering those very places now, not to reopen pain, but to release you from the weight that has taken root for far too long. I am healing the burdens you have carried as a survival habit. You learned to stay silent to keep the peace, to endure so you would not become a burden to anyone, to manage on your own so you would not have to ask for help. Each time you chose silence, a measure of tension was stored within you. Each time you said, "I'm fine," when you were not, another layer of hardness formed in unseen places. I see those layers. I see how they protected you for a time, and I also see how they have exhausted you. Now I am gently removing them without haste, without force, so you no longer have to carry life through constant rigidity. I am healing the disappointments you buried in your muscles, expectations that did not come to pass, promises that were not kept, efforts that went unseen. You swallowed them and kept moving, but your body remembers. It holds the imprint of every moment you pushed forward while your heart wanted to stop. It remembers the evenings when you were too tired for words, left only with a dull, lingering heaviness. I am speaking to every fiber of your being. You do not have to hold this anymore. I am teaching your body how to relax without fear of collapse, because releasing is not weakness, it is trust. I am healing the emotional wounds that have settled in your chest, sorrows that were never fully cried, losses that had no farewell ritual, relationships that ended without a goodbye. They lingered as a vague pressure, making your breathing shallow, keeping your heart in a constant state of vigilance. I am placing peace in that very place, not so you forget, but so memory no longer governs the rhythm of your life. When peace arrives, your chest opens. When your chest opens, your breath returns. When your breath returns, life flows freely again. I am healing the tension your body has quietly accumulated over the years. That tension did not come from a single day. It came from many days strung together, from always having to be ready, always having to be right, always having to be enough, from not allowing yourself to fail, not allowing yourself to rest, not allowing yourself to be weak. I am changing your rhythm from strain to grace. I am teaching your body that safety no longer depends on constant vigilance. When safety is restored, the body stops holding on. When it stops holding on, energy is returned. I am healing the fear that has lived in your heart as a wordless weight. That fear is not always clear. Sometimes it appears as a vague sense of foreboding, sometimes as a whisper in your thoughts, sometimes as an avoidance you cannot name. It makes you anticipate every worst-case scenario, exhausting you by keeping you perpetually on guard. I am breaking that weight not through argument, but through presence. When you know that I am here, fear is no longer the gatekeeper. When you know you are being held, your heart no longer contracts. My child, you have carried more than you ever spoke aloud. You took on burdens no one assigned to you, assumed responsibility for other people's emotions, accepted blame for things you did not cause. You fought battles your mouth never named, battles of self-blame, comparison, and the relentless need to prove your worth. Your body has borne the pressure of those battles day after day. I have seen it all. Not once did you grit your teeth in silence without my knowing. Not once did you turn your face to the wall at night without me being near. Now I am lifting these things from you. I do not remove the memories. I remove the weight. I do not erase the past. I dismantle its power. I do not deny what happened. I restore meaning so you can move forward. As I lift the burden, you will notice a real, tangible lightness, not the lightness of avoidance, but the lightness of release. You will be surprised to see yourself responding differently to things that once made you withdraw. You will discover that you can be more fully present without defenses, without pretense. My beloved child, this healing does not take place outside of you. It unfolds within you. It does not demand that you feel something immediately. It invites you to stay. Stay with the truth that you are not alone. Stay with the breath that is being renewed. Stay with the peace spreading like a gentle light. There will be days when you feel it clearly, and days when you simply feel steadier. Both are part of the process. Do not measure healing by emotional intensity. Recognize it by the growing stability within you. I am teaching you a new way of living in your body without resistance, without excessive control, without suspicion. I am teaching you to listen without panic, to rest without self-accusation, to move forward without strain. As you cooperate with grace, the hardened layers will dissolve. When they dissolve, softness returns. And when softness returns, you perceive my presence more clearly because tension no longer blocks the way. My beloved child, trust that I am at work even when you cannot see it. Trust that the places no one else can reach are being touched by perfect love. Trust that invisible pressures are being released little by little. And allow yourself to become lighter, not because everything is finished, but because you have placed the burden back where it belongs. My beloved child, the healing I am carrying out within you does not stop at the body. If it did, you would still feel a sense of lack, like a house freshly painted on the outside, while the inside remains filled with locked rooms. What I am doing is comprehensive and far-reaching, touching every deep layer of who you are, your emotions, your mind, your spirit, and even the places so hidden that you have grown used to overlooking them yourself. I am not healing you in scattered fragments. I am restoring you as a whole, so that every part of you can breathe in the same rhythm and live within the same order of peace. Before long, you will wake up and notice something strange yet undeniably real. You feel lighter, not because your external circumstances have suddenly changed, not because every problem has vanished, but because something within you has been unlocked. You will not need to convince yourself that everything is fine. That lightness will simply be there, in the way you inhale more deeply, in the way you rise from bed without heaviness, in the way you face a new day without scanning yourself to see whether you have enough strength to endure it. When what is inside is released, the outer world no longer has the power to weigh you down as it once did. The heaviness you have carried for so many years did not come from a single source. It accumulated like layers of sediment, some from childhood, when you learned to stay silent in order to be accepted, some from heartbreak that made you question your worth, some from betrayal that taught you to close your heart to protect yourself, some from the pressure to be strong, to be right, to be enough, and some from the quiet storms you walked through alone. You did not carry these burdens because you wanted to. You carried them because you did not know another way. Over time, you became so accustomed to their weight that you began to think it was simply normal. But, my child, those burdens were never meant to stay. They existed because you had to survive. I do not fault you for learning how to endure. I honor that resilience. Yet now, you no longer need to live in survival mode. I am doing something new. I am allowing what once clung to you to fall away, not through another battle, not through doubled effort, but through release. You will be surprised to see how the things that once held you lose their weight, as though they no longer have a reason to remain. I am healing places you forgot also needed healing. There are corners of your heart that have been closed for a very long time, not because they were unimportant, but because they were too painful to open. You learned to live around them, to avoid them, to call that maturity or the past. Yet those places have been waiting to be touched with gentleness. I am entering them not with a harsh light that frightens you, but with a warmth gentle enough to make you feel safe. I am not forcing you to remember, I am allowing you to let go. Emotional healing will come like a soft wave. You will notice that you no longer react so strongly to things that once triggered you. Words, glances, or situations that used to make you shrink will gradually lose their power, not because you have become numb, but because the wound is no longer open. You will find that you can feel without being swept away, remember without sharp pain, and face things without defensiveness. This is the sign of a heart being restored, tender, yet not fragile. Healing in your mind will become clearer as well. The repeating cycles of thought, self-blame, anxiety, comparison will slowly thin out, not because you are forcing control over them, but because they are no longer being fed. When fear is removed at the root, thoughts no longer have to run in defense. You will have space within space for clarity, for focus, for simple joy. Your mind will become a place of dwelling, not a battlefield. In your spirit, you will sense a deeper connection, quiet, not dramatic, but steady. You will not need to try to feel spiritual. You will simply know that I am near. There will be days when you have few words in prayer, yet your heart is at rest. There will be moments when you have no answers, yet no panic. This is communion moving into depth, where presence matters more than language. I am healing the way you come to me, so that our relationship is no longer shaped by fear or obligation, but by trust. And deep within, at the level of your identity, I am doing a quiet but decisive work. I am removing the labels you have carried because of pain, not enough. Try harder. Don't trust anyone. Don't hope too much. Those labels once helped you avoid hurt, but they also kept you from living fully. When they fall away, you may feel empty for a moment, not because of loss, but because there is room for truth to enter. The truth that you are loved without conditions. The truth that you do not need to prove yourself to be worthy. The truth that you are allowed to rest. My beloved child, what is happening is not a fleeting emotional moment. It is a shift in the foundation. You will recognize it when old patterns no longer return as they once did, when heavy spells no longer linger, when you no longer have to fight to find peace. Peace will come more naturally, as though it had always been there and is now finally allowed to stay. You will live more lightly, not because life brings fewer challenges, but because you are no longer carrying burdens that do not belong to the present. I know you are tired of trying to heal yourself. I know you have read, learned, and tried many paths. I do not dismiss the value of the steps you have taken, but now, I am doing the part you cannot do for yourself. I am healing the places you no longer have the strength to reach. I am lifting the burdens you have carried for so long that you thought they were part of you. They are not, and you no longer need to fight your way free. Allow this process to unfold. Allow yourself to become lighter without suspicion. Allow yourself to feel joy without fearing that it will be taken away. Allow yourself to believe that healing can be gentle, without drama. I am at work in your sleep, in your breath, in moments when you are not thinking of me at all. And when you look back, you will realize that the places you forgot also needed healing have now been touched, and you are living. truly living, in the freedom I intended for you from the very beginning. My beloved child, there have been moments when you quietly wondered whether something inside you was not right. You looked at the lingering exhaustion, the days when your strength seemed to run thin, the moments when you no longer felt like the strong version of yourself you once knew, and you arrived at harsh conclusions. Am I failing? Am I not good enough? Is this weakness proof that I have gone the wrong way? These questions were not loud, yet they clung to you, slowly gnawing at your confidence. I know you did not ask them out of self-pity. You asked because you wanted to understand, to stand firm, to live rightly. And because of that, I want you to hear this clearly. Do not misunderstand the seasons your body is going through. The human body was not created to be unchanging. It is not a cold machine, nor is it a moral scale or a measure of worth. The body responds to prolonged stress, to emotions held in, to the weight of responsibility, and even to spiritual battles you cannot see with your natural eyes. There are things happening beyond your conscious awareness that nonetheless leave real imprints on your heartbeat, your breathing, your sleep, and your daily energy. When you are tired without a clear reason, it is often not because you are lazy or inadequate. It is often because your soul has been fighting, and in time, the body must reflect that truth. You have walked through more than you ever tell. You have held yourself together in circumstances that did not allow you to fall apart. You have made difficult decisions, carried heavy responsibilities, stood strong for others when you yourself needed somewhere to lean. Those battles did not always have clear shapes. Many of them were silent choices, moments of suppressed emotion, times when you had to appear fine so that everything else would not unravel. Your soul was stretched tight like a drawn string, and your body, faithful and sensitive, absorbed the echo of that strain. That is not failure. It is the mark of someone who has passed through a storm. My beloved child, the enemy is very skilled at twisting meaning. He wants you to see fatigue as a verdict, weakness as evidence that you are unworthy. He whispers that if you truly believed enough, were capable enough, were strong enough, you would not be here. But I tell you that is a lie. Weakness does not cancel your value. It reveals your need to be upheld. And that need does not diminish you. It makes you more human, more honest, and more ready to receive grace. Understand this: when the soul has been fighting for a long time, the body will speak. It speaks through weariness, through heaviness, through a slowing down, not to betray you, but to protect you. Your body is asking for something you often forget to give: gentleness. Gentleness with your pace, gentleness with your limits, gentleness with yourself. I did not create you to constantly exceed your limits and then condemn yourself for collapsing. I created you to learn how to live within the rhythm of grace, where moving forward and resting coexist. There are spiritual battles you do not always recognize while they are happening. They come disguised as prolonged doubt, unanswered questions, the feeling that you must constantly prove your worth. They appear when you hold faith in silence, when you choose what is right without anyone noticing, when you continue to love without being loved back. These battles consume energy more deeply than physical labor ever could. And when they end or even pause, your body finally begins to tell the truth about the cost you have paid. That is why you feel tired after the storm, not while it is still roaring. My beloved child, do not use the measure of performance to judge the value of your soul. Do not let one season of weakness rewrite the story of your life. Every season has its own language. There are seasons of expansion and seasons of contraction, seasons of acceleration and seasons of slowing down. Slowing down is not moving backward. Resting is not surrender. Weakness is not failure. Sometimes it is the sign of a transition, when what once carried you is no longer enough to carry what is coming. I am teaching you to read your body with different eyes, not eyes of suspicion, but eyes of listening. When you are tired, ask what needs to be released. When you feel heavy, ask which burdens are not mine to carry. When you slow down, ask what is being rebuilt within me. These questions open space for healing. They allow you to cooperate with what I am doing, instead of resisting it through self-blame. My beloved child, I do not see you through the lens of strong days or weak ones. I see you whole across the entire journey. I see your faithfulness on days when no one applauds. I see your courage when you keep walking without motivation. I see even the tears you never let fall. And I tell you this so your heart may rest. You have not failed. You are living. You are passing through. And I am with you in every breath. A day will come when you look back on this season and understand that the exhaustion was not an ending, but an invitation. An invitation to return to the right rhythm. An invitation to reset boundaries. An invitation to trust that you were never meant to carry everything alone. When you respond to that invitation, you will feel your body grow lighter, your mind clearer, your soul more at peace, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you stop fighting yourself. My beloved child, stop condemning the signals of your body. See them as the language of care. Allow yourself to rest without shame. Allow yourself to be weak without doubting your worth. Allow me to lift and carry you in the places where you have tried to stand on your own for far too long. For when the soul finds its dwelling place, the body will find its rhythm again. And when the body finds its rhythm, you will realize what you thought was something wrong was, in truth, a healing process already unfolding. My beloved child, in the moments when you feel yourself growing weaker, when your breathing no longer feels steady, when your body slows down against your will, when your heart becomes confused because you do not understand what is happening, I do not want you to panic. Panic causes you to lose your bearings. It makes you interpret every signal through fear. I want you to pray, not as a desperate reflex, but as a return to the truth that you are not alone in this process, and that your weakness is not a prophecy of failure. It does not rewrite your future in a negative direction. On the contrary, weakness is an invitation, an open door for my strength to rise precisely where your own strength has run out. You have grown accustomed to living by effort. You have learned to compensate with willpower when your energy declines, with discipline when your emotions are unsettled, with responsibility when your heart is weary. These things once helped you stand firm, but they were never meant to replace grace. When you are weak, I do not see defeat. I see a fitting moment for me to uphold you in a way that personal strength cannot. Where you no longer rely on yourself, there I have room to reveal my power, not in a showy or overpowering way, but deep enough to endure. There will be seasons when your body recovers slowly, so slowly that you begin to wonder why the process takes so long. Slowly enough that you feel frustrated because your body does not respond as you expected. Because the better days do not come regularly. Because the good signs do not line up according to the schedule you set. In such moments, it is easy for you to conclude that something is wrong, that you are stuck, that you are moving backward. But, my beloved child, remember this: healing in the natural realm does not always mirror healing in the spiritual realm. These two rhythms do not always align, but they are always connected. While your body is mending layer by layer, regenerating tissue, restoring rhythms, rebalancing itself, I may be healing wounds you no longer remember. There are memories that were locked away so you could keep living, traumas you buried because they were too painful to face, fears you learned to avoid through busyness, pressures you never voiced because you did not want to worry anyone. I am touching those places, and because they lie deep, the process cannot be rushed. It requires safety, consent, and time for layers of defense to be gently removed without causing new harm. Your body carries more than physical weight. It carries memory, what you have lived through and how you learned to respond. It carries emotion, joys left unfinished, sorrows left uncried. It carries patterns, the ways you learned to protect yourself, the reflexes formed in storms. It even carries burdens your mind refused to process because it was overwhelmed. When I heal, I do not merely soothe the pain. I address the roots that allowed the pain to remain. And that work, because it is love, cannot be done in haste. So when your healing seems slow, I do not want you to rush. I want you to pray with me, not only to ask for speed, because fast does not always mean lasting. I want you to ask for understanding, so you may recognize what is being healed at a deeper level. Ask for consent, so you do not resist the process out of fear or impatience. Ask for revelation, so light may reach places you have never named. And ask for peace, so you can remain in the process without condemning yourself. Ask me to remove not only what hurts, but also the source that gave birth to the pain. Pain is often the bell, the cause is the rope that rings it. When I touch the cause, healing becomes sustainable. Ask me to uproot every unseen place where tension has hidden, like a silent intruder, places where you learn to brace yourself, to hold your breath, to blame yourself. When those places are released, your body no longer has to act as a constant alarm. It is allowed to rest. My beloved child, praying during a slow season is not a sign of weak faith. It is a sign of maturity. Maturity is knowing when to pause, when to listen, when to surrender. Maturity is not forcing a process to prove something. Maturity is trusting that I am at work even when you cannot see it. When you pray this way, you place yourself within the rhythm of grace, where healing does not merely happen, but is preserved. I know slowness tests your patience. I know it stirs old questions. But let me reassure you, slow does not mean wrong. Slow does not mean abandoned. Slow is often the safest way for deep things to be released without creating new fractures. As I heal your deeper layers, I am also protecting your future, so you do not return to old cycles when responsibility increases. When pressure returns, my beloved child, in these days when your body is still learning how to recover, practice gentleness. Gentleness in how you speak to yourself. Gentleness in your pace of life. Gentleness in your expectations. Every act of gentleness is a wordless prayer telling your body it is safe, telling your soul it is being held. When safety is established, healing moves forward in a sustainable way. If there are moments when you feel frustrated, bring that frustration to me. I am not afraid of your honest emotions. If there are moments when waiting makes you weary, tell me. I do not need you to perform strength. I need you to stay. Stay in prayer. Stay in trust. Stay in the process I am faithfully leading. And remember this, your weakness is not a prophecy of failure. It is an invitation for my strength. That strength does not only help you overcome, it teaches you how to live differently, less strained, deeper, more real. When the process is complete according to my rhythm, you will look back and realize that those slow days were not wasted at all. They were the foundation of a comprehensive restoration where your body, mind, emotions, and soul walk together in peace. My beloved child, there will be seasons when your body seems inconsistent, days when you wake up full of energy, your mind clear, your steps light, and then, suddenly, days when fatigue arrives without explanation, heavy as if an unseen cloud were following you. At times you feel sharp and alert, at other times you slow down. At times you feel steady, at other times unbalanced. You look at these fluctuations and ask yourself, am I disordered? Am I going the wrong way? But, my beloved, more often than not this is not disorder, it is adjustment. An adjustment of rhythm, an adjustment of load. an adjustment in how you exist within a complex world without losing your soul. I never created you to operate like a machine. You are not metal programmed to run at a constant rate in every condition. You are a living soul clothed in flesh, and therefore you are sensitive, deep, capable of sensing, resonating, and responding. You are affected by what you hear, what you carry, what you witness. You are influenced by the world's hurried pace, by spiritual battles you do not always see, by emotional waves that rise and settle, by the burdens you carry because you love and because you are responsible. All of these pass through you, and your body faithful will reflect them. There are days when energy comes because your soul has been upheld. There are days when weariness appears because your soul has been stretched for too long. There are moments of clarity because worry has been lifted, and moments of heaviness because memories, expectations, or responsibilities have accumulated. Do not rush to conclude that your body is not okay. Often, it is finding its way back to order like the sea after a strong wind, needing time to grow still. Adjustment is not failure. Adjustment is the sign of life seeking its true rhythm. My beloved child, do not measure your worth by the stability of your body. If you do, you will always be pulled along by fluctuations you cannot control. Your worth is not found in always being strong, always consistent, always fine. Your worth is found in your unbroken connection with me, even when your body changes. When you learn to separate your value from your sensations, you will stop condemning yourself on slow days and stop exalting yourself on fast ones. You will live more freely, more honestly. Measure your steadiness by your ability to pray in every season. Not perfect prayer, not long prayer, faithful prayer. Faithful when you feel strong, faithful when you feel tired, faithful when you are joyful, faithful when you are confused. Prayer is the anchor. When your body changes, it keeps you from drifting into panic. Prayer is the stabilizing force. When emotions fluctuate, it keeps you from being swept away by temporary waves. Prayer is the foundation of connection. It keeps you close to me, even as your flesh is shifting. Prayer is not how you fix your body. It is how you remain. Remain in truth. Remain in peace. Remain in relationship. When you remain, you allow me to do my part without interruption from impatience. When you remain, you allow the process to unfold at a safe pace. When you remain, you learn to listen to your body without panic, discerning which signals call for rest and which fears need to be released. There will be days when you are surprised by how quickly your energy seems to drop. Remember, dropping is not always retreat. Sometimes it is how your system releases pressure to protect you. Sometimes it is an invitation to rest so you do not break. Sometimes it is a sign that you have been carrying too much in silence. Do not resist with self-blame. Respond with prayer. Say to me, I am here. I am tired. Please hold me. That simple prayer can steady you more than any effort to force yourself to keep going. There will also be days when energy returns. Do not rush to use it to compensate or to prove something. Use it to build a foundation, build habits of remaining. Build a rhythm that includes rest. Build loving boundaries. A foundation built on strong days will protect you on tired days. Prayer on strong days keeps you from losing direction when tired days arrive. Prayer on tired days keeps you from condemning yourself when strong days have not yet returned. My beloved child, your body is a faithful companion. It speaks truth in its own language. When it fluctuates, listen without fear. When it needs rest, allow it without guilt. When it recovers, give thanks without pride. Prayer will teach you this rhythm, the rhythm of grace. Grace does not deny limits. Grace works within limits to produce endurance. Remember this, you were not created to endure alone. You were created to connect. That connection does not break when your body changes. It is preserved through prayer. When emotions rise and fall, prayer keeps you from extremes. When your body slows, prayer keeps you from despair. When everything flows smoothly, prayer keeps you from forgetting the source. Prayer does not replace care, it permeates care, making care itself sacred. My beloved child, your body, like your soul, does not remain in a fixed state. It moves through seasons of growth, very real, very alive seasons when you feel stretched beyond what is familiar, when old foundations are being reinforced, and when you gradually become someone you once did not recognize in the mirror. Growth does not arrive like a gentle, cooling breeze. It comes as a quiet force, pressing you to leave old patterns behind and step into a new form. And for that very reason, growth is rarely comfortable for the flesh. The flesh does not love change. It seeks familiarity, stability, predictability. Growth, however, takes a different path. Muscles grow stronger not when they are pampered, but when they meet resistance. Endurance is not formed in idle days, but under pressure that is properly distributed. The soul rises not by avoiding trials, but by learning how to stand firm within them. So when you feel discomfort, tension, or even confusion within your own body, do not rush to assume that something is wrong. It may well be that you are in the midst of a season of growth, a season in which the old is making way for the new. Do not panic when growth comes with discomfort. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is often a signal that old limits are being expanded. When you train, you know that mild pain is not meant to destroy you, but to build you. In the same way, in the inner life, the pressures you feel are not designed to crush you, but to shape you. I do not stretch you to tear you apart. I stretch you to create more room within you for what I am preparing. In such seasons, what I ask of you is not control, but prayer. Prayer does not make growth disappear. Prayer brings order and safety to growth. Pray when your body feels the pressure of change, when the pace of life quickens, when responsibilities expand, when new demands arise. Prayer in those moments is like a deep breath during a strenuous workout. It does not stop the exercise, but it allows you to continue without being overwhelmed. Pray when you realize that you are being transformed, when old reactions no longer fit, when new choices require greater maturity, when you are no longer comfortable with what once felt normal. This transformation is not merely a change in behavior, it is a shift in identity taking place from within. Prayer helps you name what is happening, so that you do not become afraid of your own growth. When you pray, you tell your soul, I am being guided, not forced, and pray when I am leading you into deeper levels of maturity, responsibility, and purpose. Those deeper levels require focus, not the tense focus of anxiety, but the quiet focus of one who knows where they are going. Growth without focus easily leads to exhaustion. Growth with focus produces endurance. Prayer gives you that focus, helping you discern what to prioritize, what to release, and what to wait for. My beloved child, growth does not happen only in great achievements. It happens in very small things, in how you listen to your body when it needs rest, in how you adjust your rhythm of life so you do not trade peace for performance, in how you say no when necessary, and yes to what nourishes you. Each of these small choices is a strand woven into long-term strength. Prayer keeps those choices from being driven by fear or external pressure, and instead guides them with wisdom. There will be days when you feel so stretched that you no longer recognize yourself. On those days, do not rush back to the old version of yourself simply because it feels familiar. That version has completed its assignment. I am inviting you into a wider space, one where you can love more deeply, carry more without breaking, and live more fully aligned with your purpose. Prayer helps you remain with that invitation instead of running from it. My beloved child, understand that growth is not a straight line. There are days forward and days back, days that feel light and days that feel heavy. What makes the difference is not the curve of your feelings, but faithfulness. Faithfulness to remain in prayer when everything is clear. Faithfulness to remain in prayer when everything is unclear. Faithfulness to stay when you are not sure whether you are becoming stronger or simply more tired. That faithfulness is fertile ground where growth takes root. Prayer also teaches you an essential truth. You are not growing by yourself. I am the one who causes growth. You are the one who cooperates. When you pray, you place yourself in a posture of partnership, listening, adjusting, agreeing. I do not push you to run faster than your capacity. I guide you to walk in the right rhythm. And that rhythm, when held through prayer, will lead you to the place I have prepared. If at times growth leaves you weary, tell me. If at times the pressure causes you to doubt yourself, bring that doubt to me as well. Prayer does not demand perfection. It invites honesty. And in that honesty, you will receive timely support not to avoid growth, but to move through it with peace. My beloved child, trust that your seasons of growth carry meaning. They are not random, not wasted, not beyond your strength. Each time you are stretched without breaking, you are being prepared for something greater. Each time you stand firm under pressure without losing yourself, you are learning how to live in lasting strength. And each time you choose prayer in the midst of change, you are anchoring yourself to an unchanging source of life. Growth requires focus, and prayer gives you that focus. Focus to see what is being built, not only what is being dismantled. Focus to keep your heart steady when the flesh is uncomfortable. Focus to keep walking even when you cannot yet see the full picture. With that focus, you will pass through this season of growth, not only stronger, but more mature, ready for responsibility, for purpose, and for the abundant life I have appointed for you, my beloved child. Your body, too, has seasons when it needs to rest. And I want you to understand this with your whole heart. Rest is sacred. Not sacred because it feels pleasant, but sacred because it returns you to the proper order I designed. Rest is not merely stopping. Rest is an act of trust. Rest is a quiet declaration that you are not your own savior, that the world does not collapse when you loosen your grip, that you are allowed to be yourself, a beloved person, not a machine that must constantly prove its worth. In a life filled with noise, rest is the space where I place healing. In a hurried rhythm, rest is the breath of grace. And, my beloved child, rest is also obedience. There are times you think obedience means doing more, trying harder, pushing further, but I tell you this, there are moments when obedience means stopping at my invitation. Stopping not because you are giving up, but because you know the limits I have set to protect you. You do not have to be exhausted to earn the right to rest. You do not have to collapse to be allowed to pause. You were created to live with a rhythm, and that rhythm always makes room for silence. I know you have grown accustomed to driving yourself. You have lived through seasons where, if you did not push, everything seemed as though it would fall apart. You have worn responsibility like armor heavy, yet worn because you believed it kept you safe. And gradually, you forgot what it feels like to be at rest without guilt. You fear that resting will cause you to fall behind. You fear it will disappoint others. You fear it will expose the truth that you, too, have limits. But my beloved child, limits are not something to be ashamed of. Limits are the mark that you are a created being. And I am the creator, and that order is peace. Rest is not laziness. Laziness avoids responsibility. Rest prepares you to carry responsibility in the right rhythm. Laziness dulls the soul. Rest revives it. Rest is the way I designed you to recover, renew, and be made new not only in muscle, but in thought, emotion, and inner life. For you are not tired only in your body, often you are tired within, tired from holding yourself together, tired from constant vigilance, tired from having to be strong when what you truly need is to be supported. I do not want you to keep living this way. When your body sends signals of exhaustion, I want you to listen. Do not treat those signals as betrayal. They are loving warnings. They tell you that you have been giving for too long without receiving. They tell you that you have lived at a high level of strain for too long. They tell you that you need a pause so the systems within you can be reordered. And in that pause, I do not merely let you rest, I restore you. So, pray, not only to get better quickly, but to understand your rhythm. Ask me for balance and the wisdom to honor your limits, not with shame, but with gratitude. Ask me to show you what to release and what to carry. There are things you are carrying that I never assigned to you. There are responsibilities you cling to because you fear that if you let go, you will no longer be loved. There are burdens you hold because you think you must prove yourself. I want you to learn discernment, what I have entrusted to you, and what you have placed upon yourself. Rest begins with that discernment. My beloved child, you were not created to run without end. You are not a river forced to flow constantly, never allowed to settle. You are not a lamp required to burn brightly every hour, every minute, every day. You are human, and I am the one who loves you. I do not need you to be exhausted to prove your faithfulness. I need you to remain with me, so that faithfulness becomes life, not depletion. Even my son rested. He walked among crowds, among needs, among cries, among human lack, yet he still knew how to withdraw to quiet places to be still, to pray, to be renewed. He did not see rest as weakness, he saw it as connection. And if my son, the one entrusted with a great mission, needed rest, then you do not need to condemn yourself when you need to stop. Even creation itself has a rhythm of rest. Even the land has seasons when it must lie fallow and recover. There are times when the soil must stop being sown so it will not be depleted. That is not waste, it is wisdom. The land rests so that it may bear more fruit in the next season. In the same way, you rest so your soul does not dry out, your body does not wear down, and your heart does not turn to stone. You rest so that tomorrow you can give from fullness, not from emptiness. My beloved child, I know what makes rest difficult for you is not a lack of time, but a sense of guilt. You fear that if you rest, you are not doing enough. But I tell you, pray for rest without guilt. That guilt does not come from me. I do not condemn you for needing sleep. I am not disappointed when you need to slow down. I do not measure my love by your productivity. I measure it by relationship. And within that relationship, rest is where you learn to trust that you are loved even when you are doing nothing at all. Pray that I would teach you how to rest rightly. Rest is not only lying down, it is laying down the burdens in your mind. Sometimes the body lies still while the heart keeps running. I want you to learn how to quiet the noise within. Bring your lists, your worries, your expectations, your fears into my presence. Say, Lord, I cannot carry everything, and allow me to remove each layer of pressure. When pressure is lifted, your sleep will grow deeper. When the mind is at peace, the body recovers more quickly. When the soul is anchored, you wake not only stronger, but clearer. My beloved child, after you have learned how to pause and listen, I want you to know that the journey does not end in stillness. From that place of quiet, I lead you to rise with a new awareness, not rising to rush back into the old rhythm, but to walk upon a different foundation, a foundation of understanding, of discernment, of identity rightly placed. When you step out of the silence, you are no longer the same as before. You no longer carry the panic of former days. You carry the clarity of one who knows where they are going and why they are going there. I am teaching you to recognize the voices in your life. There are voices that push, voices that condemn, voices that cause you to doubt yourself. But there is also a guiding voice, one that does not shout or pressure, but gently invites you to take steady steps. When you have rested in stillness long enough, you will be able to discern which voice belongs to fear, which arises from human expectations, and which is mine. This discernment will protect you more than any effort of your own, because it helps you choose the right path before correction becomes necessary. My beloved child, from here I invite you into maturity in your choices. Maturity is not about having more options, but about choosing fewer and choosing more wisely. You will no longer be swept along by every opportunity, every enticing invitation, every urgent demand from others. You will learn to ask, does this fit this season? Does this nurture life? Does this draw me closer to the purpose I have placed within me? These questions will become a safeguard for your peace. I am also teaching you the strength of consistency, not moments of intensity, but steady steps are what shape the person you are becoming. Consistency in prayer, in how you care for your body, in keeping your word, in loving without losing yourself. This consistency is not glamorous, but it endures. It forms a life you can lean on today and tomorrow alike. My beloved child, there will be times when I place you in new positions, positions of influence, responsibility, and trust. You will see that nothing you have endured was wasted. The fatigue, the slower seasons, the quiet lessons, all of it has prepared you to understand others more deeply, to lead with humility, and not to demand from others what you yourself have never had to pay the cost for. From these experiences, you will serve, not through pressure, but through compassion. I am also opening your heart to receive joy, joy that is not loud and does not depend on circumstances. There are simple joys you once overlooked because you were always rushing a peaceful morning, an honest conversation, a task done with care, a laugh without defenses. This joy does not distract you from purpose. It makes you more resilient. Those who carry deep joy are not easily drained by temporary disappointment. My beloved child, from here I also invite you to face truth with courage. Not everything in your life is meant to be kept. Some relationships need new boundaries. Some habits need to be released. Some old beliefs need to be replaced. Truth is not always comfortable, but it liberates. When you choose truth, you do not diminish yourself. You lighten yourself so you can carry what truly matters. I am leading you into inner freedom, a place where you no longer live to please everyone, nor live to oppose everyone. You live from a steady center. From that center, you can say yes without fear of loss, and say no without guilt. You walk with the calm assurance of one who knows they are held. This freedom does not distance you from others. It allows you to be more fully present in relationships. My beloved child, there will be moments when you are invited to step into leadership, whether large or small. I am not seeking perfection. I am seeking faithfulness. One who has learned to listen, one who knows when to pause, one who knows how to rise without pride. When you lead from a place that has been healed, you will not recreate old pressures in others. You will create space for life to flourish. I also want you to know that seasons of testing may still come, but they will not be like before. Not because they are weaker, but because you are stronger. You will not panic when obstacles arise. You will not rush to conclusions when plans need adjustment. You will stand in peace, ask me for the next step, and move forward with trust. Peace does not remove challenges, it removes the fear that makes challenges overwhelming. My beloved child, I am teaching you to read the signs of life. When something brings healthy expansion, clarity, and lasting peace, move forward. When something continually drains you, clouds your vision, and awakens fear, pause and ask again. Life has a rhythm, death rushes. When you learn the rhythm of life, you will no longer need to guess. I am also inviting you to invest in what lasts. Not everything needs immediate results. Some seeds require time. Some relationships must be built slowly. Some callings need to be nurtured in silence. When you are patient with what endures, you avoid the exhaustion of short-term cycles. I am with you in that patience, tending each stage with care. My beloved child, remember that you are not returning to the starting line. You are moving forward with new wisdom, a softer heart, and a body that is honored. Every step you take now carries the weight of experience and grace. You do not need to prove anything. Your life will speak for itself. Your consistency will testify. Your peace will testify. Your way of loving will testify. If there are moments when you feel disoriented, return to what is simple. Listen. Discern. Take the next step. I do not ask you to see the whole path. I invite you to be faithful to the step before you. Light for the next step will come at the right time. And when you look back, you will see that each small step formed a great journey, quiet, yet steady, my beloved child. From here, you will live with peaceful intentionality, intentional in your choices, peaceful in the outcomes. You will do your part with faithfulness and entrust the rest to me with confidence. In this rhythm, you will not merely exist, you will bear fruit, fruit of wisdom, of enduring love, and of joy that is not governed by circumstance. My beloved child, as you continue walking along this new path, you will begin to notice something distinctly different. The rhythm of your life has changed, not because circumstances have suddenly become perfect, but because within you there is now a new axis around which everything turns. Before, you reacted under pressure. Now, you act from discernment. Before, you were pulled along by urgency. Now, you choose what is necessary. This change is not loud, yet it transforms the way you show up in life entirely. You no longer live to keep up, you live in the right rhythm. I am training you in the art of steadiness. Steadiness is not rigidity, it is faithfulness to what is essential, even as contexts shift. You will encounter days when everything flows smoothly, and days when everything slows down. In both, I invite you to hold one posture, not pride when things go well, and not discouragement when progress feels delayed. Steadiness guards you from these two extremes. It enables you to keep doing what is right, small, consistent acts so that you build a life able to stand firm when the winds rise. My beloved child, I am also opening your eyes to the value of the unseen. Not every good thing needs to be noticed right away. There are seasons when you sow seeds beneath the soil without applause, without immediate confirmation. Before, the absence of recognition may have unsettled you. Now, you are learning to rejoice simply because the seed has gone into the ground. This hiddenness nurtures humility, and humility keeps blessing from becoming a burden. When you no longer need to prove yourself, you are free to serve. I am leading you into maturity in your speech. You will speak less, but with greater accuracy. You will no longer feel compelled to explain every choice or defend yourself against every opinion. Your well-timed silence will speak louder than 1,000 justifications, and when your words are needed, they will carry weight because they come from a place that has been refined. I am teaching you that wise speech is not meant to win arguments, but to build life. My beloved child, from here you will also experience shifts in your relationships. Some relationships will grow deeper because you are more fully present. Others will need to be reordered because they no longer align with your new rhythm. This may stir mixed emotions relief alongside sadness, but do not be afraid. I do not remove what is precious. I prune so that the tree may bear more fruit. Pruning does not deny what has been. It protects what is to come. I am also teaching you to receive help. Before, you were accustomed to carrying everything on your own. Now, you are learning to open your hands. Receiving does not make you weak, it makes community real. When you allow others to walk with you, you do not lose strength, you multiply it. Humility in receiving is a mark of maturity, because you no longer need to prove that you are enough. My beloved child, you will find yourself freer in relation to outcomes. You do your part with faithfulness, yet you are no longer bound to results unfolding exactly as you imagined. This freedom does not make you indifferent, it makes you steady. When outcomes come, you give thanks without pride. When they are delayed, you adjust without panic. You know that I am at work both in the process and in the result. I am deepening within you the joy of presence, not a joy rooted in achievement, but a joy that comes from being in the right place, right with me, right with yourself. You will discover that there are days when nothing remarkable happens, yet your heart remains at peace. That peace is the sign of a soul that has found its home, and from that home, you go out each day to work unhurried, unrobbed. My beloved child, I am also preparing you for difficult decisions that require choosing what is right over what is easy. Before, you may have avoided them out of fear of hurting others. Now, you are learning to choose truth with compassion. You will speak clearly without harshness, set boundaries without shutting doors, and end what must end without resentment. These choices may weary you for a moment, but they safeguard long-term peace. I am sharpening your spiritual sensitivity. You will notice subtle shifts when a door opens at the right time, when a conversation arrives at the perfect moment, when a slowing down saves you from a rushed decision. This sensitivity does not make you superstitious, it makes you attentive. You no longer chase signs, you live in relationship. And within that relationship, I guide you, step by step. My beloved child, do not be surprised if I invite you to serve in new ways, perhaps with less display, but with greater depth, perhaps smaller in scale, yet broader in impact. You will serve, not to be seen, but because you have already been seen. You will support others not with hurried advice, but with steady presence. That presence tempered by the journey will carry hope. I am also teaching you patience with yourself. Maturity does not erase every hard day. There will still be moments when you stumble, when you doubt, when you grow tired. In those moments, do not return to self-accusation. Return instead to what you have learned, listening, discerning, taking one step at a time. I do not leave you because you are imperfect. I remain to complete what I have begun. My beloved child, you will see the fruit of faithfulness not immediately, but surely that fruit will take the form of trust from others, of opportunities arriving at the right time, of peace that cannot be shaken, of joy that does not depend on conditions. It does not come because you are better, it comes because you are rightly placed. When you are in the right place, what is needed finds its way to you. I also remind you that comparison will always be a temptation. Others may move faster, differently, more loudly, but you are not called to imitate their journey. You are called to be faithful to your own. When you compare, you lose focus. When you focus, you move forward. Ask me to keep your eyes on the path ahead, no glancing sideways, no looking back with regret. My beloved child, I am building within you a life that can be passed on not merely through words, but through example. Others will learn from how you handle pressure, how you keep peace, how you love without losing yourself. Your legacy is not only what you accomplish, but who you become, and that person is being formed day by day through small choices, steady steps, and repeated returns. If at times you find yourself standing at a crossroads, remember this: you do not need to choose what is perfect, you need to choose what is honest. Honest with me, honest with yourself, honest with the season you are in. From that honesty, I will make a way. Light for the next step will come as you walk in the light you already have. My beloved child, continue forward with intentional peace. Do what needs to be done today. Release what does not belong to today. Trust tomorrow to me. I do not call you to carry the entire future on your shoulders. I call you to hold the present step in your hands. As you do, you will discover that the journey, though challenging, is upheld by grace that does not run dry. I am here as the one who goes before you to make the way, as the one who walks beside you to uphold you, and as the one who stands behind you to guard you. Keep going. Remain faithful. Love deeply. And trust that what I am building within you is good, fitting, and deep enough to carry you into every season ahead with steadiness, freedom, and enduring joy. My beloved child, as you continue to go deeper into this journey, you will begin to realize that true maturity starts from within, not from what you do, but from who you are becoming. In the past, you may have defined yourself by roles, by responsibilities, by what you accomplished. Now, I am teaching you to define yourself by identity. That identity is not shaken by praise or criticism. It does not swell with success, nor shrink with failure. It stands firm because it is anchored in the truth that you belong to me. When identity is set in the right place, everything you do falls into order, and you no longer have to strain to prove yourself. I am training you in active patience, a kind of patience that does not passively wait, but remains awake and attentive with every step. You will no longer force doors to open too soon, nor delay out of fear. You are learning to prepare before results appear, to tend small things before there is recognition. This patience guards you against impulsive decisions and keeps you from giving up halfway. It teaches you that timing is part of wisdom, not an obstacle. My beloved child, I am also leading you into honesty with yourself. Honesty is not harsh. Honesty is light. You will learn to name what you feel without condemning yourself, to acknowledge limits without shame, to admit desires without fear of judgment. This honesty opens the way for deeper healing, because what is brought into the light loses its power to control. When you no longer have to hide, you are free to grow. I am refining you in the discipline of focus, not a tense focus that drains you, but a gentle focus that keeps you aligned. You will do fewer things, but each one will matter more. You will reduce unnecessary distractions, the noise competing for your attention, so your energy is preserved for what I am building. When you guard your focus, you guard your peace. When you guard your peace, you guard your vitality. My beloved child, there will be times when I invite you to carry greater responsibility, not to test you, but because you are ready. This responsibility does not come through pressure. It comes through trust. You will find yourself entrusted with matters that require steadiness, discernment, and compassion. What you have learned in quiet places now becomes a foundation. You will not lead from fear. You will lead from a stable presence. I am also teaching you the strength of completion. Before, you may have started many things but finished few, because of fatigue or distraction. Now you are learning to complete what I entrust to you, even the small things, with faithfulness. Completion is not for display, it is to close loops. So your soul does not carry unfinished weight. Each time you complete something, you build trust within yourself. My beloved child, along this journey I also allow you to pass through moments of uncertainty. Uncertainty is not a sign that you are lost. Sometimes it is the space needed to release old assumptions. In that space, I plant new understanding. You learn to stay with questions without panic, to keep moving forward without seeing the entire picture. That courage to remain makes you deeper. I am stirring within you a compassion that does not grow weary, not compassion that depletes you, but compassion with boundaries. You will love without losing yourself, help without rescuing, listen without carrying what is not yours. Compassion with boundaries protects you from exhaustion and protects others from dependence. It allows love to flow in the right direction. My beloved child, you will also learn the joy of simplicity, not simplicity born of lack, but simplicity born of sufficiency. You will chase fewer unnecessary complications and carry fewer invisible burdens. Simple joy comes when you live aligned with your core values, loving honestly, working honestly, resting honestly, being present honestly. When life is simple, the soul has room to breathe. I am teaching you how to handle conflict with wisdom, not avoiding it, and not confronting it without restraint. You will speak truth with kindness, set boundaries with respect, and listen to understand rather than to win. When conflicts are handled well, they do not destroy, they refine. Through them, you grow in relationships without losing yourself. My beloved child, do not be surprised if I invite you to adjust your pace once again, not to return to the old, but to move forward into the new. Rhythm is not a straight line, it is a series of wise adjustments according to the season. You will know when to accelerate, when to maintain, and when to slow down, not from fear, but from discernment. That discernment is the mark of one who has learned to listen. I am also building in you a healthy endurance, not silent endurance, but meaningful endurance, knowing why you endure, for how long, and with support. You will not endure without direction. You endure to pass through, not to remain stuck. When you understand the limits of endurance, it no longer consumes you. My beloved child, I am helping you place your hope correctly, not in people who change easily, not in fragile circumstances, but in unwavering faithfulness. Properly placed hope makes you steady amid change. It allows you to love without fearing total loss, to commit without wagering your soul. I also remind you to keep gratitude as a habit, not artificial gratitude, but awakened gratitude, recognizing goodness right in the middle of the journey. Gratitude guards you from bitterness, from comparison, from despair. It sharpens your sight so you can see grace at work in small details. My beloved child, if there are times when you grow weary from perseverance, return to the simplest thing: remain with me. Remaining is not doing more, it is placing your heart in the right place. When you remain, I do my part. I open doors at the right time, close what must be closed, and lead you safely through the turns. I am forming in you a sustainable life, steady in faith, steady in love, steady in hope. This life does not need display to survive. It survives because it has deep roots. When storms come, roots hold. When heat intensifies, roots nourish. When seasons change, roots adapt. My beloved child, continue to walk faithfully in small things. Do not dismiss quiet choices. They are shaping who you will be in greater moments. I am not in a hurry. I work with certainty. And when the time comes, you will see that every step mattered, nothing excessive, nothing missing, I am here walking with you in every decision, supporting you in every challenge, and rejoicing in every step forward. Move ahead with gentle courage. Keep your eyes on the path before you, and trust that what I am completing within you will bring life not only to you, but to those you touch along this journey. Now pray as follows. Loving Father, today I come before you, not with the story I have been telling myself for so long, but with the truth you are gently unfolding for me. I confess that there have been days when I viewed myself only through exhaustion, through the limits of my body, through the fluctuations of my emotions, and I concluded that I was falling apart. I feared that I was growing weaker, that something within me was breaking, that I was no longer myself. But now, in your presence, I lay down that way of seeing. Teach me to see myself as you see me, not as someone collapsing, but as someone being transformed, not as someone losing ground, but as someone stepping into a new form, as a seed must break open to give life. Grant me the peace not to panic when old shells fall away. Help me trust that in every quiet movement, you are very near, guiding, sustaining, and preparing me for a life that is deeper, truer, and freer. Father, there are days when I wake with a heaviness I cannot name, not because of any clear crisis, but as if the air around me is thicker, my mind more tired, and joy farther away. I have wondered whether I have gone the wrong way, whether something dark has crept in too deeply. Today, I choose to trust you more than my fear. Help me understand that not every heaviness is a sign of decline. Some seasons are heavy because you are laying a new foundation. Keep me from resisting the necessary disruption, from rushing to rebuild what you are dismantling. Teach me to remain still within the process, trusting that light has not disappeared simply because I am learning to perceive it more deeply. May I not seek false comfort, but liberating truth. Make me discerning enough to tell the difference between true darkness and the shadow of preparation, so that I do not fear where you are at work. Father, there were moments when I believed I was breaking into pieces, no longer whole, no longer intact. I feared that you were taking something essential from me. Now I receive the truth. You are not destroying me, you are refining me. Give me the courage to release beliefs that once helped me survive but now leave me weary. Dismantle the survival mechanisms formed in fear, the habits built through constant strain. Help me trust that what is falling away is not my core, and that what remains will be steadier, truer, and freer. Let true strength take root within me, not the strength of control, but the strength of abiding in you. Father, I place my very body before you with every signal, every sensation, every limitation I once misunderstood as punishment. Forgive me for fearing my own body, for interpreting its messages through anxiety rather than discernment. Today I choose to learn the language of my body as revelation, not as a verdict. Show me where I have carried more than my share, where I have forgotten to set boundaries, where I need you to enter more deeply. Help me not to panic when my body asks for rest, not to condemn myself when I need to slow down. May I recognize that this body is not a battlefield, but a place where you are restoring order, peace, and life. Father, I acknowledge that some fatigue does not come from doing too much, but from being tense for too long. Some pain does not arise from physical weakness, but from a soul that has been silent for too many years. Teach me to stop without guilt, to listen without fear. Show me the difference between endurance and trust, between striving and surrender. Let me learn this lesson not in theory, but through the lived experience of being upheld by you in my weakness. May I stop trying to prove myself, stop bracing myself, and learn to rest in your embrace. Father, I thank you that I do not need to be better to be healed. I do not need to be stronger to be loved. I only need to be real. Free me from pretending I am fine when I am tired, from condemning myself for very human limits. Let me come to you as I am without hiding, without defense, without decoration. When I am weak, remind me that this is precisely when you are strengthening me in your way. When I release control, make room for grace to recreate. Father, I receive this new season not as pressure to change faster, but as an invitation into a different rhythm, slower, deeper, truer. Help me see limits as a gift, not a failure. Teach me to let my body lead me back to my own truth, rather than forcing it into standards that no longer fit. May places that were once weaknesses become doorways to rescue, places that once hurt become wells of compassion, and places that were once attacked become testimonies of your protection. Father, help me recognize the very ordinary signs of healing without dismissing them. When my sleep deepens, when my mind clears, when my emotions soften, let me know that safety is being restored. Let me receive returning energy as a steady flow, not a momentary surge. Help me hear my own breathing again and realize that I no longer have to fight constantly just to survive. A new foundation is being laid, and I choose to trust this process. Beloved Father, I thank you that this healing does not turn me into someone else, but brings me back to myself, the version once set aside during years of mere survival. Let me live in this body as in a renovated home filled with light, marked by steady breath, grounded on firm foundations. May my body, mind, and spirit move in one rhythm. Keep me from returning to old burdens simply because they are familiar. Let me move forward in vitality, peace, and purpose, not because I can do it on my own, but because I have learned to trust. I believe that you will not only begin, but also complete this good work within me. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.